one gorgeous day for baseball. Little League World Series continues on ESPN. The regional rounds, we have moved on to the Midwest. It's Elimination Day. State champions from Iowa and Minnesota meeting in game 2 of 4 that we play this afternoon and tonight. As long as you're undefeated and have but one loss, you can stay around. That means the loser of this game will be excused and the winner will still stay in the tournament. Greetings, welcome back to Grand Park here in Westfield, Indiana. Jim Barber and John Gregory played with the Dodgers organization just a few years back. Now picture this. Last night Minnesota loses a heartbreaker on a walk-off 2-1. It's got to turn right around in about 18 hours play again. Iowa's had at least a day off since its loss. Advantage for one of the teams over the other?
Well, I don't know. It really depends on how this Minnesota team gets over that loss from last night. They ran into a really tough pitcher last night in Marcus Phillips. This guy was throwing up there equivalent to about 94 miles an hour, so it was very difficult for them and for these teams to get a read on how good they are.
About the only player that solved him last night was Jacob Deichel on the second pitch of the game. He goes to left field, and it's a pretty good sign at that point for Minnesota and a 1-0 lead. But that's the final run for Coons River. Wind up losing in the bottom of 6, 2-1. As for Iowa, with the day off, need to find its bats today. Owen Ellsworth and Caden Halsrud both had hits, but both had to come off the bench to do it.
Yeah, both guys not listed as starters yesterday. Different for day. Halsrud is in the lineup today after getting that hit yesterday. So guys off the bench, Iowa trying to find a way to get runners on and see if they can't get some runs on the board early.
The winner of this game, John, moves on to Thursday's competition. The loser will have its season end. Iowa and Minnesota coming up on ESPN. Beautiful day rolls on, and let's take a look at Minnesota starting pitcher. The right-hander is Eli Nyhammer. And you talk to skipper Mike Koenig. What does he do best? He throws gas.
Yeah, he certainly does. Big kid, 5'9", 135 pounds. A 13-year-old. Fastball is a plus. He'll mix in a knuckleball, and he's working on another off-speed pitch too. But make no mistake about it, his fastball is his plus pitch and out pitch for this ball game.
They'll face an Iowa lineup again with 24 hours off. Skipper is Troy Moss, and he has decided to put one of the players of the two that got a base hit the other day into the starting lineup. That's Caden Halsrud, who will be batting ninth. It's Hennis, Timmerman, and Anderson at the top. Cleanup spot, Gage and Mullendor. Then Cale Moss, Carter Bryan, Sam Hasselman, Rex Woodley, and Caden Halsrud. What's interesting is the batting averages. Again, just one game, but nobody with a hit. With the exception, of course, of Halsrud coming off the bench and Owen Ellsworth, who will be on the bench today. So Iowa bats first. Minnesota won the coin toss. Will serve as the home team. Popped up and on the infield. Nyhammer will handle it. One pitch. And Mengesha Hennis becomes the first out.
Well, not even time to settle in. We get the first out, and that's what we saw yesterday from the Minnesota squad. They took the first pitch, popped it up, and the next pitch they deliver it over the left center field wall for a home run and make it a quick 1-0 lead. Let's see if Iowa takes a page out of that book.
Spencer Timmerman is the batter, John. He reached in the first inning of last night's game, or rather the game in Nebraska 2 days ago, and then struck out twice. Nyhammer choosing to work from the stretch, and Nyhammer delivers a strike. Last night, his teammate Hayden Torgerson battled Marcus Phillips pitch for pitch. That game going to the final inning in the last of the 6th. In that game, Phillips goes the distance, and South Dakota gets the win. And we ran into Jeff Riley going through some infield work with his team moments ago. Said the reaction Sioux Falls last night was terrific. 2 outs.
2 quick outs for this Minnesota team. They need to get off to a quick start today. Wonder what their emotion would be like, and having a guy like Nyhammer on the mound to be able to keep Iowa in place early will go a long way. This team needs a little push, a little motivation after that late night loss last night and coming back early today, I should say.
It's the third baseman, Pierce Anderson. Favorite movie is Spider-Man. Where's number 12? Hit by a pitch and then struck out twice in the game against Nebraska, a game in which Iowa battled to the last inning and actually had the game end on a television replay in which a call went against Iowa's Little League team from Johnston, and that appropriately ended the game. Do not see that happen very often. A ball and 2 strikes. Two strikeouts for pitcher Eli Nyhammer in the top of the first. After a half inning, Iowa nothing, and Minnesota coming to bat. Minnesota's turn to bat in this scoreless game, just underway from Grand Park in Westfield, Indiana. Megasha Hennes will be the starting pitcher today for Johnston Little League out of Johnston, Iowa. Fastball, curve, and he can also get that heater up to around 70 miles or so.
Yeah, he's another guy that'll deliver it. Not as big on the mound, just 5'3", 105 pounds, but we saw his arm from the shortstop position and from the mound a little bit in the first ball game. So he's one of the hardest throwers, if not the hardest guy on the mound for Iowa. So they're going to expect him to try to hold this Minnesota team down that didn't score runs or didn't have a chance to against a guy named Marcus Phillips last night who was delivering some fastballs.
Oh, he was amazing. Tyler Lunau will lead off. He was 0 for 3 last night. Then Deichel, Andrew Price, and Hayden Torgerson. Seth Saunders bats 5th. Jackson Koenig 6th. Matthew Olson, Noah D'Agostino, and Wyatt Heppel round out the batting order for the skipper, Mike Koenig. Said he didn't have to say much to his guys last night after that walk-off loss, except I'm proud of you. And he should have been, because that game was destined for extra innings. He had to bring on the younger Koenig to try to close things out in the bottom of the 6th. And a 2-out single by Jackson Good, who had been sparkling in the field, won the game. Lunau out on strikes, 1 out.
Well, what do you say to a team that gets beat like that? You know, you look at it and you try to find, okay, as you see the sharp-looking breaking ball from Hennes right there to get the first out, but what do you say to a team in that situation? I mean, they played great baseball. They didn't really have any mental mistakes, no physical mistakes. They just ran into a buzzsaw out on the mound, and I don't care what team's out here. If you face Marcus Phillips, good luck trying to catch up with that fastball.
Yeah. So Tyler Lunau retired, and here's Jacob Deichel at the plate. And he is behind 2 strikes. Eli Nyhammer to follow.
See Troy Moss talking with the head coach for Iowa before this game. Mentioned how aggressive Minnesota was at the plate last night. As we see the second strikeout already for Hennes. Was talking to him about how aggressive this Minnesota team was at the plate and swinging at first pitches, even though Marcus Phillips was delivering up there. He said, well, start them off with some breaking balls and do some things a little bit different. So far, they've had success with that, Jim.
John, I enjoyed the start of last night's game. I thought both teams coming out aggressive makes for an exciting brand of baseball to watch. And maybe we had come from a game with a lot of walks and wild pitches, so we were hungry for something like that. But you saw 2 teams dialed in at the plate. You saw 2 teams score in the first, and then things really settled in defensively. Nyhammer takes a stride, and for the count on Eli, it's a ball and a strike. To left field, base hit.
Nyhammer saying, okay, guys, I'm going to do this thing on the mound. Jump on my back. I'm going to start us off with a base knock here and see if we can't somehow find a run or a 2-out rally here early in this ball game.
And to the plate, Hayden Torgerson. Last night struck out, had a 2-out single in the 4th, and then grounded out second base to first. He was the last at bat for Minnesota in that 6th inning before losing the game to South Dakota in the last of the 6th. One ball, one strike, 2 outs. 1-2. Jake Ballard behind home plate. Prince Lowe, the umpire at first. Hans Lodge at second. Phil King, the volunteer ump at third. Struck out the side. Great job by Mengesha Hennis in the 1st inning. Minnesota gets a 2-out hit, and that's it. Iowa nothing, Minnesota nothing, on to the 2nd. Jim Barber with John Gregory used to spend his springs in Florida, spring training with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Well, how was that?
Well, it was a lot like this weather-wise, and a lot of fun, too.
Gage Mullendore is set to lead off the top of the 2nd for Iowa, which went quietly in the 1st. Facing Eli Nyhammer, recorded 2 strikeouts in that 1st inning. This is an elimination game. Each team with records of 0-1. Mullendore had an RBI ground out, was 0 for 3 in a loss to Nebraska on Sunday.
Nyhammer really taking a page out of Marcus Phillips' performance last night for that South Dakota team. He was so efficient on the mound. Yes, he was throwing fastballs up there, but he was throwing strikes too, and he had such efficiency. I think his pitch count was around 70 for a complete game. That was pretty good. Nyhammer would like to do that same thing today. He threw only 9 pitches in that 1st inning.
That's when you call your guy a pitcher, not a thrower, right?
Right.
Eli Nyhammer dialed in now with back-to-back strikeouts, 1 out. The manager's son, Cale Moss, to the plate, and another look at strikeout number 3.
Not a breaking ball there. That's that plus fastball we talked about. Ran it up inside there. Both these teams, I love the fact their approach at the plate pretty aggressive. You don't see a lot of guys taking pitches. They're going up there trying to get a base knock.
And if you're listening to the natural sound of our broadcast, because you can hear the fans and certainly the dugouts on almost every pitch is applauded. It's either good eye or hang in there, or good pitch.
That's right. Every pitch makes somebody happy, right?
Yeah. Unbridled enthusiasm on both sides. Ball and 2 strikes. Nyhammer, John, in the 1st inning, a very efficient 9 pitches.
That's what you want. Get back into that dugout as quick as you can. Keep that pitch count down.
Good change. Didn't get the call from the home plate umpire, Jake Ballard. So the count is now 2-2.
You mentioned changeup. We said he'll mix in a knuckleball. He's working on another off-speed pitch. Maybe that was that change. Couldn't tell the difference whether that was his knuckle or not.
Not a cloud in the sky today with the temperatures in the mid-70s. 2nd of 4 baseball games. Finished up last night about 9:30, 9:45 with a thriller. Strike 3 called. That's 4 straight strikeouts for Eli Nyhammer.
Got him looking that time on the inside half of the plate. He said 4 in a row now, and I like it. Every time he gets a strikeout, his entire infield comes over. Breaking ball. We talked about the plus fastball. There's a good look at the breaking ball. Fooled Cale Moss at the plate.
Let's see if Carter Bryant can solve him. That's 5 in a row for Eli. Strike 1. Minnesota defensively with a quick turnaround. Playing last night, losing last night on a walk-off, and then having a return in the second game today. But, hey, they're 12 and 13 years of age, so shouldn't be a big deal.
Wouldn't be a big deal for them to return tonight, too, right?
No. Nyhammer strikes out the side. How impressive has he been so far? He has struck out 5 in a row. Iowa nothing, Minnesota nothing. Little League University provides free educational information online for coaches, umpires, league volunteers, and parents. Watch videos, review practice plans, get some ideas for playing catch in the backyard. Visit littleleagueuniversity.org today.
Look at that support. Pretty nice, huh? Now they talk about parents and all that. What about sisters? You look at on Iowa's side behind that first base dugout or down that first base line. There's all kinds of cheerleaders lined up there ready to support their family.
Absolutely. My daughter and I, we play catch in the driveway. Sometimes we have to watch out for the kitty cat. Make sure it doesn't get in the line of fire.
Everybody always talks about, well, the boys give up their summer to go like this and travel on the road. How about these girls right here? They're giving up something too. You know, their parents have to drag them along, and looks like that's not dragging. They're all dressed up, ready to go. They've got the signs they've made. They're supporting them. I'm glad they're on TV there.
And they're likely pretty good athletes in their own right.
That's right.
We've got a couple of girls that are playing here in this Little League World Series. Saunders, a little tap foul. Trying to be the first person to put it in play against Mengesha Hennes, who struck out the side in the first. In fact, we have had 8 recorded outs. Make it 9 recorded outs so far. 8 have been on strikeouts. That's how good these guys have been, at least out of the gate.
Seth Saunders goes by Sticks. I wonder, is it the legs, you think? The tall guy?
Doesn't look real skinny, does he? Not slim enough, I suppose. Yeah.
He's got those nice, tall, lengthy guy. Got plenty of length. Don't let that fool you. He's got some strength, too. We saw it yesterday. The mound, ability to throw the ball pretty good.
Struck out twice in the loss last night. Has worked the count to 2 balls, 2 strikes. And that's 4 strikeouts now for Mengesha Hennes.
Hennes has him guessing up there, too. Fastball, breaking ball, throwing both of them for strikes. I think, what is Saunders thinking here? Am I thinking fastball inside, and he gets a little cutter on the outside corner as Cale Moss, the catcher, does a really good job of framing that ball and bringing it in for the strike.
Jack Koenig was 0 for 2 last night and a strikeout. He was the pitcher at the end of the game trying to get Minnesota out of a bases-loaded jam, but as his dad and third base coach and skipper Mike Koenig says, tough spot for anybody to come in.
Yeah.
And on the first pitch, delivered a fastball that was stroked to center field to end the game. But you made the comment on the air, and Mike Koenig backed it up today. You know, the kid wanted the ball. Yeah. That's what you want, is somebody that's willing to take that step in the big stage. First one to make contact. And he is out second base to first. 2 away. Handled easily by Bryan. 2 outs.
Hit it hard, but right at somebody. Can't ask for anything more than that.
So Matthew Olson steps to the plate, hitting in the 7th spot. And Olson takes a fastball for a strike. Batted once last night in a loss to South Dakota Marcus Phillips and struck out. In fact, I could probably say, guess what he did? Not out of disrespect to Olson, but
No.
out of the fact that Marcus Phillips was pitching. On the bounce toward third base, that's Anderson. And a wild throw. Runner's going to go from first into second. That'll be a throwing error on the third baseman, Pierce Anderson, to keep the inning alive.
Really good speed by Olson. I said he had speed when we met with him, talked with him yesterday. Hustling down the first base line. That ball gets away, and Olson immediately recognizes it and gets into second base. Now he's in scoring position for the first run of this ball game.
Noah D'Agostino, his father Jason, is the bench coach on this team. Kevin Torgerson is the first base coach, along with Mike Koenig at third. Noah started last night and actually got the second hit of the game, an infield hit against Phillips. Out on strikes there. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Mengesha Hennes. And Minnesota leaves a man but fails to score. Bottom of the order for Iowa in the third. Iowa nothing, Minnesota nothing. John, I'll go on a limb here. This is a pitcher's duel.
Yes, it is. 10 strikeouts so far in this ball game. We're seeing it with the fastball up in the zone. Here's a look at the big breaking ball by Hennes as he's got him off balance. Another good look at that breaking ball. 5 apiece. Nyhammer with the fastball. And the breaking ball. Both pitchers, great command so far, been very efficient in the number of pitches, and if they continue to throw like that, we'll see these two out there for a long time today.
In fact, Nyhammer has been so efficient with his 22 pitches. 17 of those have been for strikes. Only player to make contact is his counterpart, Mengesha Hennes, who is pitching today for the opposition, and he popped up to the pitcher. Top of the third, Sam Hesselman to lead it off. The winner will face Kentucky on Thursday. With the right to get to Saturday's championship game, the loser will be eliminated. And Kentucky got a grand slam from Joey Howard in its win today. That one fouled off and to the right. By the way, that is not accurate. Kansas-Nebraska winner following this game will face the winner of Iowa and Minnesota. Kentucky will draw the winner of Indiana and Michigan. We're in the Midwest region. Here for the first of 2 in the Midwest. That's spanked to right field, and that is foul. Sometimes, John, and it's not often, I get my regions mixed up. But I have committed to turnover, and we'll make amends here.
You're not keeping one bracket straight. You're keeping 2. You know, I got to give it to you.
Hesselman's battling up there right now with 2 balls and 2 strikes off the change. We'll do it again.
You said battling. First ball he fouled off way down the right field line. He started to get a little bit closer and a little bit closer. You just wonder, is he going to be able to turn it around down in right field? D'Agostino really close down the right field line, so expecting him to hit it down there.
Sent the previous pitch past the first base coach, Chad Ellsworth. Dave Anderson, the bench coach. Troy Moss, who is the skipper, is the third base coach. This at bat is lasted as long as a number of pitches that Nyhammer threw in the first inning.
Yeah, and sometimes even if you don't find your way down to the first base bag, you can consider it in Little League a pretty good at bat because you're driving up that pitch count.
Certainly are, and you're making the pitcher work on not a steamy day yet, but certainly a warm one.
Can't really tell. He's been fouling off some fastballs here. Let's see if Nyhammer drops the hammer on her with a breaking ball here.
Line drive caught, second base. Nice play by Heppel on a 9-pitch at bat.
Well, Hesselman will go back to the dugout there, but he's going to get a high five from his coach going down to first base as he gets back to the dugout. Nice play by Heppel on the line drive. Had him played perfectly. You can see him over toward the first base bag. He makes one step and a dive and catch, but a quality at bat that time. Good battle.
Eli Nyhammer now has retired 7 in a row. And Hesselman just the second of 7 batters to make contact.
Well, the number of pitches that he faced right there was the total amount that he threw in the first inning.
Yeah.
Actually, it was one more than he threw in the first.
He drove that pitch count to a most high 33 now. Off the change, strike called. 2 balls and a strike.
That was the knuckleball. You could see coming out of the hand, not a lot of rotation or spin on that ball. Just a completely different look, an off-speed pitch to Woodley at the plate.
Caden Halsrud, who had 1 of 2 hits for Iowa in the loss to Nebraska, batting in the 9th spot, is in the on-deck circle. No score, and neither team has threatened. In fact, nobody has gotten a runner past first base yet. Seeing a lot of foul balls here in the 3rd inning. What can we say about the command of Nyhammer at this point?
Pretty good, but you also have to give maybe some credit to Iowa starting to catch up with Nyhammer on the mound and his fastball. Really starting to shorten up their swings a little bit, make them a little bit more tighter.
You mentioned the knuckleball earlier, and let's show you how it's thrown here by Nyhammer.
Yeah, there's a good look. You're not really digging your fingernails in there, but you've got that grip on it, and you kind of deadpan it as it comes out of your hand.
After the knuckleball, come back with a fastball, 2 outs. That's 8 in a row now retired without a base runner.
And I think for Nyhammer, I'm showing my breaking ball a little bit, but my plus fastball is what's going to get people out. I think you can overpower people at time. That's a good looking fastball and great location again.
Caden Halsrud at the plate. Just 1 of 2 players to come through with a base hit in a loss to Nebraska. In fact, that was a double, and he scored 1 of 2 Iowa runs. Count even, a ball and a strike with 2 outs in the top of the 3rd. Minnesota has turned its lineup, just about to turn it over. We'll start with the number 9 hitter, Wyatt Heppel, in the bottom of the 3rd. Nyhammer with the sign from Deichel and the pitch. Full count.
You saw Deichel behind home plate that time. He wanted that ball up. Nyhammer threw it up, but way too high. I don't know if you needed to get up there, just go right after him.
And the first base runner of the game for Iowa in the form of the number 9 hitter, Caden Halsrud.
Sometimes you can outsmart yourself a little bit. He may have been able to overpower him. Deichel, not a tall guy behind the plate, but saw how powerful he was yesterday with the home run. Kind of stood up, said, I want this right around the chest area. Well, if you get the hitter, if the hitter does not chase it, now you put yourself in a full count and you walk him on the next pitch.
Yeah, you wind up turning the lineup over too. That's probably a bigger deal in Major League Baseball because in the National League, you'd be walking the pitcher.
Sure.
Nonetheless, that ruins the perfect start for Eli Nyhammer, who had retired 8 straight. Strike one. Spencer Timmerman in the on-deck circle. Iowa still looking for its first hit. Popped up. Short center field. Diving catch. Olsen, what a play. Inning over. Matthew Olsen had to run a long way, and he had to fight the sun at well. And he did the job. Iowa with a 2-out walk. It remains Iowa nothing, Minnesota nothing. Well, pitcher Mengesha Edwards, Owen Ellsworth has entered the game in the outfield. They've made a couple changes. We'll update those for you in a moment. In the meantime, Minnesota starts at the bottom of its order with Wyatt Heppel. Ellsworth, by the way, is in left, and Woolham's in right field. Just the 32nd pitch of the game for Hennis. Wyatt Heppel last night struck out in the third. And it started this inning with 26 of 31 strikes. Good for 84%. And first pitch strikes John to 7 of the 8 batters he had faced.
You don't typically see those numbers from these 11 and 12-year-olds. This is about, this is one of those days where you get in the loser's bracket, you figure you may have to use a lot of your pitchers in the first round, and you never know what you're going to get from a depth of a pitching staff, but quality starts for these two guys today.
And Heppel out on strikes, and for Mengesha Hennis, that is strikeout number 6.
Look at the location again. You see it on the outside corner versus the right-hander. Now you see the left-handed hitter up there, and again, peppering the outside. Cal Moss, the catcher, doing a good job of keeping a steady target there for Hennis to be able to hit, and he's not even really moving the glove that much.
Not at all. Patty Kelly's going to bat for Tyler Liu now. Each team required to get everybody in with a chance to play. Been the mandate of Little League Baseball and the Little League World Series for years. Lots of big doings in Williamsport. Will one of these teams be there? Up the middle, handled by Hennis. Almost could walk it to first base, 2 outs. One thing we've seen in this tournament so far, not only good pitching, but good fielding by the pitchers.
Goes a long way to helping you win a ball game if you can field your own position out there, as you said. Numerous times we've seen a pitcher either come off the mound on a ball hit in front or take a hot shot back to him and handle it without a problem.
Jacob Deichel. 1 for 2, a home run, a run batted in, a walk, and a strikeout. That was last night. Today he has a strikeout. Glancing at the Iowa fourth, Timmerman, Anderson, and Mullendor are scheduled to hit. And each of these pitchers, because they are going so well, are jumping out of the hitters. Have been very few 2-2, 3-2 counts. Hennis with yet another strikeout, 2 in this inning. And for the game 7 for Mengesha Hennis. After 3, Iowa nothing, Minnesota nothing. Well, as they say occasionally in baseball, the numbers don't lie. Look at the pitching comparison between Mengesha Hennis of Iowa and Eli Nyhammer of Minnesota. Both have been terrific. Just 1 walk between the two, John.
And that's the efficiency we're talking about. If you can keep those numbers down, the most important ones maybe the ones at the bottom, 42 and 47 pitches apiece. You keep those down, you can get yourself into the 6th inning, and boy, would these coaches for both of these teams love that.
You know, I secretly and privately, but no longer, wish sometimes that the pitch count, at least the limit, would go up even higher, because Marcus Phillips wasn't having any problem with the pitches he threw last night. This one down the third base line and foul. But when you got two guys dueling, you'd almost like them to be able to finish the game, finish what they've started. And obviously, if that count gets near 85, that's not going to happen.
You know, and again, all the rules built for protection of these young guys. You want to see that duel right now. There's others that want to see it later in life. And the ability to save that arm now will go a long way to maybe seeing that same battle in the future.
And besides, let's be honest, you're a rules guy anyway.
No, I'm out of the box type of guy, but I can understand why they do it.
1-2 on Spencer Timmerman, who's 0 for 3 in the regional. Gets one towards center field. Nice diving catch by Matthew Olson, who has played a strong center field. He's had back-to-back good defensive plays. It's the amount of days you must rest if you reach the limit. That's on the left-hand side. You can finish an at-bat at each threshold. So let's say you started at 61 pitches and you extend to 70. You don't get pulled at 65. You get to finish the at-bat. Just as an example.
I got a feeling that we may see, if this continues the way it is here, there's not going to be a change on the mound. And both of these guys are going to be bumping that number up to 85 possibly.
That'd be nice. On a hop toward short. 2 outs.
One other thing that helps with pitch efficiency is having a good defense behind you.
And Tyler Liu now re-entering the game, handles that cleanly. Gabe Mollendor, the Iowa shortstop at the plate, batting cleanup. One of 5 consecutive strikeout victims of Eli Nyhammer. That coming back in the second. Well, at least Johnston Little League starting to make contact. And that may not sound like a big thing, but when you're getting mowed down on strikes, putting the ball in play becomes pivotal. It's not mentioned in the numbers we showed you earlier in the graphic, but it is indicative of a great pitcher's duel. No player on either side has gone beyond first base. Two balls and a strike with 2 outs in a scoreless game in the 4th. Popped up. Short left. Nice running play, inning over. Eli Nyhammer with his 3rd up and down order inning. Bottom of the 4th. Still scoreless. Beginning in January, Little League will join other youth baseball organizations in adopting USA Baseball's new USA Bat standard. For more information on how this new youth standard will impact Little League, visit littleleague.org/batinfo. Andrew Price will pinch hit for Eli Newhouser. He will not be replacing Newhouser as starting pitcher, but getting an opportunity to play and fulfill Little League rules during the course of a conventional 6-inning game. Price wears 99. Perhaps innocently and ignorantly, I asked his head coach, why 99? He says, well, he's a hockey nut, a hockey fan. And I thought, 99. Yeah, Wayne Gretzky, the great one.
Yeah, maybe him. Okay. Who knows? You were talking about those bats and the change, 2018. It's BPF. It's Bat Performance Factor. Those bats, those standards are going to be like high school and college, and these bats are going to play a lot like wooden bats, and all new bats will be required in 2018. And really, I think Little League going along with kind of the public perception that wooden bats should be used. Well, instead of using wooden bats, they're just going to make the performance like a wooden bat.
Actually, I like the idea better.
Well, each year you watch that Little League World Series, and some of those balls are going further and further off the bats of some of these big kids, and just another way to protect them.
Price out on strikes to start the bottom of the 4th. for Mengesha Hennes, strikeout number 8.
Hennis, not a big guy on the mound, just 5'3", but boy, I'm telling you, he can let it go up there. We saw it at the shortstop position, deep in the hole, and came in for some relief in the first game and saw that ability to throw, and wondered how long he could carry this into this game, not being that big, just 104 pounds, but he hasn't slowed down one bit.
Nope. By the way, did you catch the home run that went, 380 feet yesterday?
That is a perfect example.
In Georgia.
How old was he?
Yeah. Pretty incredible, huh? Mark McGuire, Dave Kingman is alive and well on the Little League level.
Boy, it went over the heads of people that were sitting in the outfield watching the game. They had to run up a hill to go after that baseball.
I bet Aaron Judge would have been proud, huh? Gary Sanchez. By the way, let me amend something I said earlier. The runner has reached further than first base, and that was Matthew Olson on an error back in the second. He's the only one to do that. He got to second, and he eventually was stranded.
This Johnston, Iowa team were the 2016 Midwest champions, but all new players out on here. The only guy that has some resemblance to that is the guy out on mound. Hennis's brother, Sam, was here last year, was part of that team.
Well, Minnesota manager Mike Koenig has an older son, and John, who played in 2013 Little League Regional back on the field at 42nd and Midhofer, where you and I have done the games. He's here today watching, and he's much more relaxed. Going to be a tough play. And that will be an error at shortstop with one out on Gage Mullendor.
Yeah, his son was one out away from going to the Little League World Series, and a pass ball hurt them. That's how close you are to living your dream, and a pass ball gets by and it all comes to an end for you.
When the Midwest region and the last 5 champions include Iowa twice, Missouri in 2015, Rapid City, South Dakota 2014, Nebraska in 2012. Well, who's your favorite right now in the Midwest? If you had to pick a team that says, you know what, I think they're going to do it.
Now, looking at it right now, South Dakota's been playing really, really good. That great pitching. First of all, you look at that. So if they get to the championship game, the possibility of having Marcus Phillips on the mound automatically has to move you to the top. And I think any coach on either the Great Lakes region or the Midwest region will tell you, if you have a guy like that, that's, you can find your way into the championship game, then I have to give them the nod. If they can't get there, then, it's a pretty good mix-up right now. Tough to say. Who do you
Gage
like?
Mullendor, I'll answer that question here in a second.
Yeah.
I'm surely not skipping out on here. Mullendor is now coming into relief for Iowa. Hard-throwing right-hander, and Mengesha Hennes, who pitched superbly, will move over to shortstop. I would go with South Dakota. I think Missouri is probably a surprise team in this, because Missouri now finds itself in position. And we'll get a chance at South Dakota tomorrow at 11 Eastern, followed by the Great Lakes matchup between Ohio and Illinois. Moments ago, what I thought was an error, Torgerson reaching first base, has actually recorded an infield hit. So, Gage, I have to offer my apologies. And Gage now is moving that shortstop spot onto the mound. No score in the last of the 4th. Fair ball, first base. Force at second for one, and no chance for a relay. And a good play by Woodley at first to recognize that in a tight game and low scoring at that, the best option is the lead runner.
And Torgerson, the runner on first base, got a really late jump on that because he wasn't sure when that ball was off the bat whether it was going to be catchable in the air, so he had to hold up. So easy throw for the left-handed Woodley down there at that first base bag.
Good contact hitter up there at the plate now, Jack Koenig, with 2 outs in a Minnesota fourth. The only threat for Coons Andover came in the second, as Coons River got a man at second but failed to score. One hop second base, Brian, inning over. The pitching duel continues. After 4, Iowa nothing, Minnesota nothing. Top of the 5th. Want to know why Minnesota has been pitching a shutout so far? Well, it's got a lot to do with defense. Wyatt Heppel for one with a great diving catch. And watch the play at shortstop here. Nice running play by Tyler Lunau. And then in center field, not one but 2 good defensive plays by Matthew Olson. On to the top of the 5th. Iowa still without a hit. Minnesota has 2. The skipper's son. The wall or the bulldog or the animal behind home plate. Cale Moss.
Can they find a way to get to Nyhammer? He's been really pounding that strike zone with the fastball, but he's a guy, Cale Moss, with great size.
I was going to say stop and take a picture. The count was 2-0. How many times has that happened?
Really losing it, isn't he?
Yeah. Time to start warming up the pen. 3 balls and a strike. Nyhammer yet to, actually has walked 1 that came in the 3rd inning. Had a run of 5 consecutive strikeouts, 6 total for the game.
60 pitches right now.
And the first time that the leadoff hitter has reached base in this game for Iowa. Second walk issued by Eli Nyhammer.
And immediately there is some action down in the bullpen for this Minnesota team as they go down, and we're going to get a pinch hitter here, but action in the bullpen right at 61 pitches. We saw Hennis give up the ball on Iowa's side. Wonder if it's going to happen the same way for Minnesota.
Caden Wilson will pitch hit. Andrew Price down in the bullpen warming up for Coons River. Cale Moss, just the second base runner in this entire game for Iowa.
A little surprised here. Iowa maybe not bunting, trying to create a run, playing a little small ball, really to try to manufacture something against Nyhammer. You've got some guys dueling on your side. You think maybe steal a run somehow.
Took something off that pitch, John. The count now even 2-2. Sam Hesselman is scheduled to bat next. He was robbed on a great play at second base the last time up. 1 out. Good job by Nyhammer battling back after being behind in the count. Midwest Regional Elimination game today from Westfield, Indiana.
Bulldog mentality. You walk a guy and then get behind to the next guy and fight your way back as that fastball just too quick to catch up to.
Owen Ellsworth will be the pinch hitter. And Minnesota manager Mike Koenig will jog out to the mound. Eli Nyhammer at 66 pitches. Struck out 7 in 4 1/3 innings. Has walked 2, and if you'll notice, has not allowed a hit. We'll stay in the Midwest regional next when Kansas and Nebraska meet up. That'll be at 4 Eastern, 3 Central. Conversation over. Nyhammer continues. Pitch 67 forthcoming. Owen Ellsworth in a pinch hit role. The other day, as a pinch hitter, had a base hit. Just one of 2 Iowa hits in a loss to Nebraska.
Here's where I think you have to be really aggressive on the base paths. You need to try to somehow get in a scoring position. Cale Moss down at the first base bag. Anything in the dirt, you have to be ready to go. He's being aggressive, too, and this Minnesota defense knows it. Just threw down behind him, Jacob Dyson.
This is the O-Dog at the plate, John.
O-Dog.
Good eye by O-Dog, laying off that pitch, 1-2. Certainly get the impression that 1 run will win this game. Owen Ellsworth out on strikes. Nyhammer has recovered his strikeout pitch.
He has, and that fastball is what he's gone back to. Couple strikeouts. Watch the location again, right where Dyschel sets up on the outside corner, and he's going to brag a little bit by holding it right there and showing the umpire he hit my glove. I didn't have to move it an inch.
Carter Sharp will pinch hit, as Iowa goes with 3 pinch hitters here in the 5th inning. A ball and a strike. In the Minnesota half of the 5th, Matthew Olson, Noah D'Agostino, Wyatt Heppel scheduled to bat. A ball and 2 strikes.
And what do you throw here? I think you go fastball. He hasn't been able to show me he can catch it up yet. Let's see if they stay with it.
Caught up with a fastball, but late. He'll do it again.
I stay with the fastball here. He's got to prove to me that he can turn this ball around. Hasn't yet.
Nyhammer now at 75 pitches. 49 for strikes.
Pretty good battle again. Is Sharp fighting him off. The little lefty at the plate continues to battle.
He has faced, Nyhammer has faced just 2 over the limit. A most rare full count.
Yeah, I got tired of trying to beat him with the fastball. He gave him 4 in a row and tried to throw the big deuce or that knuckleball, and the ball got away from him.
It's a pretty good at bat for that pinch hitter Sharp.
Yeah, I love watching the pitch count and their pitch selection. Missed with the breaking ball, came back fastball again, and if I'm sitting here as a hitter, I'm thinking dead red fastball.
Up the middle, base hit. What a quality at bat for Sharp. As Carter fouled off a number of pitches, worked the count to 3-2, and singles up the middle. And for Iowa, that is the first hit of the game. And how about this, John? Of the 3 hits Iowa has in this tournament, all are pinch hits.
And what a tremendous at bat that time for Sharp, as you said. He battled and kept getting the fastball, and he fouled it off. finally got the fastball 3-2, able to time it up and drive it right back at the middle, and that's sitting there waiting on that fastball and able to get the bat speed around.
Carter Willems will step in as a pinch hitter, as Iowa finally gets a man into scoring position. Runners at first and second with 2 outs. Woodley has re-entered, and he is running at first. This inning started with a walk to Moss after back-to-back strikeouts. Base hit by Sharp. Wild pitch. Both runners now in scoring position, where a base hit could score 2. So Jacob Deichel and Eli Nyhammer will have a conversation initiated by Deichel. Perhaps trying to settle down the emotions of his pitcher. Second and third with 2 outs, no score. The pitch. Blew the fastball past him. A ball and 2 strikes.
Normally this is where you could see a breaking ball, but I don't think you want to throw it in this situation. You want nothing in the dirt. Look fastball here if you're a hitter.
Fastball it is, outside the zone, 2-2. Pitch 84 will be coming. Nyhammer to the plate. Inning over. Strikes out the side, and for the game now, that's number 9. That was a big one. Iowa leads 2 on the bases. No score, Iowa, Minnesota. We believe the spectacular day of Eli Nyhammer is over. They're looking at the pitch count board out in right field, and by our numbers, we have 85. If that's correct, he would be through.
For a moment, I thought it was 84 and that he could pitch to the leadoff hitter in the 6th, but doesn't look like that's the case for him.
The way these guys are throwing, especially him, I think they should add 30 to his pitch count. I'd like to see him out there for a few more innings. Comebacker, 1 out. Wilson hustling down the line, but Caden is retired. Excuse me, Olsen retired. And here comes O'Neill. Michael O'Neill with his first opportunity. Minnesota had a scoring threat in the 2nd when Matthew Olson reached on an error, got all the way to second base. That has been the biggest threat to this point. Minnesota with 2 hits, Iowa with 1. That's it. We have had 3 outstanding pitching performances, starting with the Indiana-Kentucky game in which both hurlers were good. Then Marcus Phillips last night doing battle with Hayden Torgerson, a 1-2 ending, 2-1 in favor of South Dakota, as O'Neill draws a 1-out walk, and now this game.
You're right. Over the past few years, you know, when you look at some of these performances out here, I think you got to rank some of the performance we've seen, at least from on the mound, as good as we've seen in the last few years.
This is the type of game, you and I were talking about this before the broadcast, that you would typically see early in a tournament or maybe in a championship round, as you get to an elimination game, as D'Agostino will run at first base, sometimes you don't see that because teams have to go to their 3 and 4 pitchers, but number 3 and number 4. But today has been good. Herrick is the pinch hitter. Towards center field, base hit. Runner around second, is going to try for third. Here comes the throw, he'll be in there. And on the throw, Herrick, Elijah into second base. So give Elijah a single, second on the hit to center. And Minnesota's got it going in the bottom of the 5th.
Boy, he just lifted this up. You know, left-handers like that low fastball. They like it typically inside. He got that out over the plate and just golfed it out to center field. And Eric saying, take a look at me. Got a big hit for our team. Got us in scoring position here with 1 out. And now for Iowa, they have to be very careful with a pass ball here. We've seen it so many times, Jim, that's been the dagger in the side of a lot of teams late in the ball game is you give up the pass ball and a run scores easily. So they got a good guy behind the plate in Moss, Kale Moss, a big backstop back there for Mollendor on the mound.
Mike Koenig, the manager of Minnesota, making sure that the runners at second and third are aware of the situation. Tyler Luhnow comes back to the plate, batted in the first and struck out. Big at bat here, everybody in at every infield position. So you're not a fan of a free pass here intentionally to load the bases and get that force out at home plate and set up a double play?
Possibly in this situation, but you have to have a guy, I believe, on the mound that you can trust that's going to throw strikes and not give up another walk right after it.
Count a ball and a strike in a scoreless game.
A dangerous hitter in Luhnow, too. A guy that has led off all year for this team, so a guy knows how to get on base or at least make contact.
Makes contact there. Coming home to the plate. D'Agostino tagged out. 2 outs. Well, maybe that's the reason you don't go with the intentional walk.
No, we've seen coaches elect to not send runners when the infield's playing in. Hennis, give him a lot of credit. Not only on the mound, he fielded that ball and makes a strike of a throw to home plate. Big Kale Moss behind the plate receives it and puts the tag on him for the out. How about Hennis? Not only on the mound, he's been really good at the shortstop position.
He sure has. Now runners at first and second with 2 outs. Jacob Deichel to shortstop Hennis. He'll go the long way. Inning over. Minnesota had a chance, but Iowa escapes. To the top of the 6th, still nothing. 99, Andrew Price now on the mound for Minnesota as we start the 6th. Eli Nyhammer outstanding in his starting role today. He's done, having reached 85 pitches. So now the pitcher of record for Minnesota becomes Andrew Price. Mengesha Hennis started for Iowa, then was relieved. But, John, you talked about it. Can't mention enough. Had 2 fine defensive plays in that 5th inning to keep the game at 0-0. Now he gets a start to lead off the 6th. He's 0 for 2 in this game, 0 for 4 in a run scored in the regional. Price starts him off with a strike. The winner gets a day off, moves on to Thursday's game where it must win against the winner of our game tonight at 7 between Kansas and Nebraska to reach the championship game of the Midwest Regional. No balls and 2 strikes. Toward right field and hit well. And up against the fence. Hennis around second. Gonna dig for 3. Iowa with the lead run at third base, nobody out. Gets a high five from his skipper and the third base coach, Troy Moss.
Ball hit well off the bat again of Hennis. They end up winning this ball game, no question. This guy is the MVP. His tough play out in left field as D'Agostino makes a valiant effort out there, just comes off of the glove, and look at the speed of Hennis as he's able to get all the way to third base. There was no stopping him. He turned the Jets on, rounding first base, and easily makes it into third.
And after this conversation breaks up, you're likely going to see Minnesota go into a prevent defense and bring everybody up and try to cut down the lead runner at the plate. So man at third and nobody out. Iowa had a chance in the last inning with runners at second and third with 2 outs and failed to score. Spencer Timmerman 0 for 4. Today has struck out and flied out. The fly ball would put him ahead. Infield in at every spot. Good stop by Deichel, 1-1. From the windup. And it hit him. So Timmerman is on first base. Runners now at first and third with nobody out. That will still keep the infield in. Pierce Anderson now scheduled to bat. Anderson is 0 for 4 in the regional. He has struck out 3 times. One of those today. Ball 1.
Boy, how these games take a twist and turn when the starters come out. It's amazing how it feels like it gives life to the other dugout. Even if you have another quality guy on the mound, it's just a change and getting a different look and just a different attitude when you step up to hit.
Sometimes you even see that in the majors.
Just get them out. Find a way to get to them, and you get them out, and just creates some type of an enthusiasm.
3-base error and a walk in this inning. Nowadays in the majors, starters more often than not don't complete a game. You'll see them go 7, on rare occasions 8 before they turn it over to a bullpen, which sometimes gives light to the other team. 3-0 pitch, strike call, taking all the way was Pierce Anderson. Should he lose him here, not the end of the world. It would set up a force at home plate. Now 3-2. Jack Koenig, Tyler Lunau, Wyatt Heppel, and Hayden Torgerson are the infield third to first. Seth Saunders in left, Matthew Olson in center, Noah D'Agostino in right. Big strikeout for Andrew Price, who raises that right hand up in the air, 1 out.
Price knew how important that was. Possibility now of a double play if they wanted to go back middle infield, but that's really taking a chance there, not having the infield in on all corners. As you see Price deliver this fastball up in the zone in the swing and the miss, and Price with the strikeout and all pumped up.
Gage Mollendor with a chance. Strike 1. Mollendor today 0 for 1, 0 for 4 in the Midwest Regional. Coming up next, Kansas and Nebraska. The winner of that game faces the winner of this game on Thursday. Loser would be, in both games, eliminated. Andrew Price, a look into Jacob Deichel, and the pitch. Runner going down to second. They'll cut it off at short just in case Mengesha Hennes had a feel for going to home plate, which he did not.
Good coaching all around there defensively. Minnesota played it perfectly. They were going to let the runner get to second base. That run really not important now. They want to cut off that lead runner, not make a mistake, and let Hennis score.
Popped up toward left field, gonna drop. It'll score one, and that's all Iowa needs right now for the first run of the game. Gage Mollendor comes through to make it 1-0 Iowa in the sixth.
Well, he didn't hit it hard, but he didn't have to. It was off the fist. He fought the inside pitch, able to drop it in here. You can see it inside. He doesn't get the hands in and comes off the fist, but just enough to get over the shortstop's head and enough to score the speedy Hennis from third base.
Cale Moss now with runners at first and third. Let's see if Iowa runs the bases again. Ball one. Took us more than 5 innings to get our first score. Minnesota in a tightly wrapped game last night. Lost 2-1. Uncontested goes Mollendor into second base.
Got to bear down if you're Andrew Price here. Yes, you gave up one right now. The team has given up a run, but you got to keep battling out there. You're still in the game.
Moss toward left field, caught. Runner's got to go back, and now he's going to come home. And it's 2-0. Timmerman able to make it to home plate. And Iowa scored twice in the inning and has expanded its lead.
Wow, that was interesting. Timmerman, when that ball was hit, he started to come home. He had to go back to the bag, and Seth Saunders out in left field. Watch him hold on to a bit here. He didn't know where to throw it. And because he held on to the ball a little bit longer, that allowed the runner to score from third base after having to go back and tag up. And an important second run comes across the plate.
In the meantime, Gage Mollendor goes from second to third. Oh, what a tough tournament for Minnesota, losing last night 2-1 in the last inning. And now on the ropes down to the final 3 outs, and maybe losing this one as well in the last inning. Still be time though, and in fact, heart of the lineup coming up for Coons River in the bottom of the inning. This inning started when Hennis reached on a 3-base error. Timmerman walked. Anderson struck out. Mollendor had a base hit to left. Plating the first run, Moss a sacrifice fly, which has led to a 2-0 score, and now a runner at third base and Mollendor with 2 outs. Carter Bryant at the plate. Andrew Price taking a lot of time up there, and finally time is given. Carter Bryant will look down to the third base coach, Troy Moss. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Inning over. But not before Ben Gesha-Hennis scored the first run on a base hit by Gage Mollendor. And Cale Moss added the second run on a sac fly. And it is 2-0 in favor of Iowa. Minnesota needs 2 to tie in the bottom of the 6th. Williams is back in the game in right field for Iowa. Last chance for Minnesota. 2 to tie and 3 to win it. Andrew Price will lead it off. Batting in the third position for Eli Nyhammer. Ball 1. Hayden Torgerson, Seth Saunders scheduled to bat after him. Minnesota has not scored since the first inning of the game last night against South Dakota. 1-1. Off speed misses the corner by Mollendor. 2 balls and a strike. Minnesota must get a base runner to have a chance. 2-2.
Good pitch outside corner. Great location. Cal Moss again setting up right there, and he's doing it again. See the spot.
3-2. Minnesota's best scoring opportunity was in the last inning. Runners at second and third with 1 out, but back-to-back ground balls to short prevented a run from scoring. 3-2 pitch is pounded to left field, but not deep enough and hauled in. Boy, when it was hit, I thought it might carry, but in fact, in perfect position with Sam Hesselman, 1 out.
I agree, and playing deep out in left field. I think he thought it had an opportunity to get out of here, too, as he was heading down that first base line. He never took his eyes off it one time.
Hayden Torgerson, Minnesota with 2 outs remaining in the bank. Must do something soon. One and 1. 2-3-1 for Iowa. No runs, 3 hits, no errors for Minnesota. That's a strike. 1-2. Towards center field, nice stop by Hennis, got him. He has made a couple of very nice plays.
Oh, boy.
When his teams needed it the most.
Iowa moves on. If Iowa moves on with a victory, you got to give this kid right here a lot of credit. Big defensive plays. Late in this ball game, after doing a tremendous job starting this game, keeping his team in it the whole time, he prevented Minnesota from scoring. One-man wrecking crew at that shortstop position.
That's good, good analogy. Seth Saunders is Minnesota's last hope. Jack Koenig would follow him. Season in the balance. 2 balls, no strikes. Right now, base on balls is as strong as a hit. That's a fastball, strike 2-1. And Iowa within a strike now, advancing to Thursday. Two-two pitch. Popped up. This should do it. No. Dropping in fair territory, then picked up. What's the call? Game over. In fair territory, then bounced foul. It was a live ball.
Yeah, but nobody touched it. I think they're going to review this. This ball was not touched. It landed in fair territory.
You're correct.
But the first time it was touched is in foul territory. I don't think this game's over.
Would be similar to a bunt that starts fair and rolls foul.
Yep.
The reaction from Iowa was game over. The umpires will talk. I don't know if they'll need to go to replay in this.
Really, it all depends on whether that ball was touched in fair territory, and I don't think that was the case.
Well, didn't Iowa's...
Here's a look at it. The ball hits the ground, never touches. I think it misses his glove. Nobody touches it until right then. That's a foul ball.
Nope, not even close, at least not by replay. So you're right, John. That should be a foul ball. Well, how about this? Didn't Iowa's last game end on a replay?
The game before this one, we had to go to replay, and it extended another out.
Jake Ballard, yes, behind home plate with the ruling. And you're correct. Good call, John. Foul ball. So premature celebration for Iowa. Count still 2 balls, 2 strikes. The beauty of replay. So we can take those 3 outs off the board. There are still 2 outs and a 2-2 count. New life for Seth Saunders, trying to make it happen for Minnesota. Now the game is over. Strikeout for Gage Mullendor. And Johnston Little League moving on to Thursday.
Jim, another great ball game here, 2-0 in Minnesota. They scored 1 run on a home run in their first at-bat during this regional, and that was the only run they've been able to put on the board. And give some credit to Iowa. Mengesha Hennis, a great start for him. Mullendor comes in and gets the stop in this in relief of Hennis, and some great defense for Iowa there to keep them in this game. And how about Nyhammer for Minnesota? 9 Ks in a losing effort for the team for Minnesota, but I'll tell you what, give Iowa credit for battling, staying in there. Both pitching staffs do a great job.
This game got settled in the 6th inning when Iowa scored twice to win, 2-0. Let's update the Midwest Regional standings at the top, and they'll meet tomorrow. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Webb City, Missouri, Johnston, Iowa, Kearney, Nebraska coming up next. Still in it, so is Cherokee, Kansas, and Coon Rapids, Minnesota. I don't know if you can play any better defensively, allowing just 4 runs in this tournament, and all 3 of the 4 coming in the last inning. Unfortunately for Andover, Minnesota, eliminated from competition in the Midwest. So that does it for game 1 in the regional in the Midwest. Coming up, Kansas and Nebraska, and Iowa will face that winner on Thursday, trying to get closer to the championship game and Williamsport. For John Gregory, Jim Barber, we'll see you back at 4 o'clock Eastern for Kansas and Nebraska on ESPN.